Ryan James.
Chase Falk.
We are starting a podcast.
I know, I'm excited. Now, who are we starting this for?
Who are we starting this for? I think you answered that question the best way.
Well, I think what is needed right now for this city is just two guys who are good friends. What have we been friends for? What? I was thinking about that earlier.
I thought about this earlier this week. I would say like 2008 is when we met.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that, like 12 years?
Yep, 12 years. So we've been friends for 12 years. You have been through a lot of different phases in those 12 years. I pretty much stayed the same. But it's kind of been neat to see you grow into what you've become and to see your mindset in that. So in that 12 years, you've moved places, and there's been a lot of you going away and then us getting to know each other again, and then you going away and us getting to. So I think now we're at the point where we have every time we're together, really honest conversations. You challenge me, I challenge you. I would like to say I'm usually your biggest fan, probably even more so than your wife. No, I'm just joking. But I am Chase's biggest fan, so I love to see you succeed. And so I was thinking we started talking, and maybe we have a conversation that maybe someone else can get blessed through. Yeah,
and so when we think about that, we think about guys, and Ryan, I think about our relationship and some of the things that you just shared. And the verse 1 Thessalonians 5:11 comes to mind that says, "Therefore encourage one another and build each other up as you are already doing." And that's the verse to me that kind of can like define our relationship. And every time we are together, I feel encouraged and I feel built up. And really the reality for guys today, I don't know that a lot of guys have that type of relationship. Mm-hmm. And so, for guys, it's hard to share feelings. You and I talk about that. Like, I don't know what I'm feeling, but feelings really well. And so, and it's hard to like be honest with one another and like just share some deep, hard things and some deep things that you haven't told anybody else, and like we've been able to have those conversations. And so, what I think is we've talked about this, what I think is an encouragement and a hope is that to push men to hear some just genuine, real life things that are going on between two friends and see the need to have the same in their life and to be honest and vulnerable with other folks. And so I guess I texted you, 2 or 3 weeks ago about doing this?
2 or 3 weeks ago, you said, let's do it. And I am not a speaker, and I do not like speaking in front of people. It's actually probably my biggest fear. But lately, God has been really coming in my life saying, when I open up doors, just go through them and trust Him that it's not me speaking. It's not me getting the glory. It's going to be Him getting the glory. So, you got to say what you need to say. Who said that? That's a song.
That is a song. Say what you need to say.
John Mayer. Thank you, John.
So one of the things that if y'all don't know Ryan, he knows like every song.
Well, no, I just know pop culture, which is really useless in the scheme of things.
Well, it's good on that game on like when that Alexa game where you're like, Alexa, name that song.
I'll challenge anyone in this room. I will get you.
You will get us. And so speaking of people in the room, let's talk about that just for a quick second. In the room right now is our producer, Broxton Gannon. Thankful for him for making this happen for us. And then introduce our marketing strategist there, Ryan.
This is the man right here. This is Auburn Shepard, our marketing strategist. He is the man with the plan. He's got a plan to get us more than 5 listeners. So I think you're going to do it, man. It's going to be more than just my mother and father listening. So,
well, Dougie Fresh is going to be listening as well.
Dougie Fresh will be here.
He's got to get at least 3 more. So that's your dad, your mom, my dad, and then 3 more, Auburn. That's your goal.
That's our goal is to have 12 listeners by Christmas, our Christmas party.
All right, 12 listeners. Auburn, you think you make that happen?
That's easy. No doubt going to happen within 2 months.
2 months.
And speaking of that real quick, do we get a Christmas party on this thing?
Of course.
Is this a network? Like, is it us with Brother Ray and Chantel and James?
No. This is just us.
We're on our own here.
We're on our own, yes.
So, but the goal is to maybe, if we're successful, to build more people.
Yeah,
and then really get cool people.
Exactly, right. Yeah, other than just 2 of us. So let's talk name now, Ryan. What are we going to name this podcast? Now, you had a name. Share that name with us.
I was thinking Dad Bod.
Now, why were you thinking Dad Bod?
Because when you look at us, We work hard. I mean, we do, but no matter what we do, we still got a dad bod. So
We do have the dad bod. Your kids, I don't know if your kids do this, Ryan, but mine ask some interesting questions about, like, Dad, why does your back look like that? Or why does your stomach look like that?
no, mine do not. But I'll leave you on that one.
Yeah,
I had a
it's like-
tagline and everything. It was what? From physically flab to spiritually fab.
That's
But-
pretty good. All right.
but
and
no,
the-
we ain't doing that one. They got X-nayed.
I
so.
think our wives X that one.
Yeah.
Mine was be the one.
Mhm.
I was thinking, from 1 Thessalonians 5:11.
That's such a chase name too, by the way.
Yeah,
I mean,
be
you
the
are-
one.
You are the golden one. And then you have me on here who is not the one. So, I mean, it was a good idea, but that's just not me.
So a mutual friend of ours that we both talked to separately and hadn't really talked back together came up with another name and shared with us that one.
Off the Kuff.
All right. And so Off the Cuff is what we're going to title this podcast. And the reason we want to do that is the goal is kind of to ask some off the cuff questions, and that kind of what we're thinking, and try to answer them honestly and be real with one another, that kind of thing.
Authenticity. What does off the cuff mean to you?
Off the cuff to me would mean in a moment, in any situation, you are asked to do something or asked a question, and you just answer it like what's in your brain in that second.
So do you see us getting in a lot of trouble on this podcast with
I
that?
could see that really being the case for sure, because there's moments where you probably need to think about an answer and obviously pray about an answer or seek wisdom about some answers. And so we might say a few things on this podcast that it's probably best that we're not in a network yet, and it's just the two of us or the four of us doing this. And
Yeah.
So how about you? You going to get in trouble?
If any of us is going to get in trouble, it's going to be me. So I'm really going to pray. I think that's very important that you bring God into this.
Right.
And you pray and you say, God, just let my words be of you. And if we do that, I think we'll be smooth sailing. But
So why don't you for a second define off the cuff?
Well, to me, it's that. It's whatever you're having a conversation. Usually, you don't have a microphone in your face when you're having these conversations. And me and you we've had some great conversations on back decks the last couple of years. So for me, it would be a chance to talk to you. You're a busy guy. We can talk about that too if you want. Chase likes to get things on his schedule. And he's hard sometimes to talk to. So when I get to talk to him, when I get to have conversations with him, it's hard in life to find friends that you connect with. And sometimes it takes a lot of time, a lot of work to do that. So whenever you got that person, it's you want to, have conversations with them. And I feel like that's how our friendship is. However, you have 3 children with 1 on the way. I have 2. We also foster. So we have children coming in and out of my house. We both have full-time jobs. Your job, you have to be working at night a lot of times.
Yeah.
And in most summers, you're gone, which this summer's a little different.
Right.
So, we have to have a microphone in our face, but that's okay because it's still a great chance to get to minister to each other, have conversations. And then if we can have these conversations and someone else gets blessed by what we say, then it's worth it.
I
So,
think one of the things in our relationship that I've learned recently, when we think about just being real and talking and asking questions, is that the need to maximize the time that we have together. I think about when we hang out or our families get together, Ryan, one of the things that has been more recently understood for me is the reality to just kind of jump right in and just go ahead and ask the question. And it's hard to get there because it's easy just to kind of stay surface level. But for me, it's been easy lately just to kind of get in and all right, the girls are doing their thing. Leah and Emily are over here, talking. And when they're talking, they're not listening to nobody else. Love them both to death, but nobody else can be in the room pretty much. And so the kids are on the back yard playing on the trampoline or playing in the playhouse, and then you and I are on the back porch. And so just immediately jump right in. So for listeners thinking about starting a relationship like this and encouraging, just go for it. Find somebody that I would say are around on a more regular basis, a family or a coworker or someone that you and your family hang out with, and just jump right in with them and just kind of ask some hard questions, some off the cuff type questions to get to know them in a greater way.
Well, and that's a good point too, because for me, it's very easy. I'm a person who likes to know people. I like to drill you and say, what is going on? Who are you? What's going on? Are you in a bad mood? Now, Chase, you're not that way.
Not at all. It's hard for me to get in a deeper relationship. I don't ask questions. Just my personality. I'm a little more into myself, honestly, in a lot of ways. And so I
wouldn't say that.
Well,
I mean, I see some aspects of that, but I wouldn't say, you're a very competitive person, but you're not someone who's very self-centered. I can tell you anything and you're going to take it to heart and say, how can I work to make this better? Where a lot of people won't do that. So you got to give yourself credit for that.
Well, but my thing is like, I just don't immediately get there, if that makes sense. Like it takes me, like when I see somebody, my initial reaction is not to ask them a question and really listen to what's going on in their life. Like I walk in and I want to tell them what's going on in my life, or I want to say, hey, did you watch the vlog this week? Or, hey, did you see this? Or, hey, are you coming to that? Like I'm immediately more so focused on what's happening in my life versus what's happening in someone else's life.
And that's because you're an Enneagram 3, which we won't get into Enneagrams this thing, but you are, man, and by the eye rolls in the room, it's obviously annoying, but it helps me a lot to know that Chase, there's these comedy videos on YouTube that show how different types of Enneagrams react to stuff, and the 3 always has a camera and they're vlogging their life. They're podcasting what they're doing. And so, yeah, he's my best friend. So if I have to be on a podcast, I have a conversation with the guy, I will. But it has helped me a lot, not so much with friendship, but also in my marriage. So, but you have that. You have it there. It's just harder for you to do that. Now, have you ever had a friend in your life besides me that you were able to open up with, or is that something that's taken a lot of time?
Oh, that's taken years. I have a couple of close friends, and it would more so, we would get to serious conversations like when things were really, really like bad or a really, really struggle. Like it didn't just come naturally. A couple guys for sure that. And I know that I've talked to them about serious stuff. When something happens, I'll keep them in the loop. I talk to them about it, but I've never really had, I would say, somebody as far as our friendship where we can just like immediately get to a place where you ask the hard question or I, ask a hard question and just can honestly answer it.
Right. And that, like I said, that takes some time. Like we've been 12 years building a relationship. I can't remember in our friendship if there was a time where we weren't like that, because I think we kind of started off pretty open with each other. But I would say if you had that person in your life that you just kind of connect with, in whatever way that is, you connect with them, and I would just say, hey, because God doesn't want us to do this journey alone. And there are so many guys out there who are trying to do it alone, and they're at home and they're, they only have their wife to talk to, or their coworkers, which is just a different, relationship.
Right.
So it's so important for us to have these conversations with each other as guys to like keep each other accountable, because it's where we see a lot of trouble in society as it is with dads not having that accountability with somebody. And then, let's be real, dads are the foundation to me of a society.
That's good. And
if we're not holding each other accountable, if we're just kind of letting it be, then that's where the strings start to come unraveled, and then the strings start to be pulled, and then you're kind of unraveling.
Yeah.
And you got to have someone there to check you before that goes too far. So hopefully this podcast will kind of be that for somebody to say, hey, look at what they have. Let me find someone who I can have that with as well.
Yeah, and I think about when I think about a relationship like this that you and I have had the opportunity to build over the last 12 years. One, it didn't just come, and two, I remember talking to Lee about really needing a friend. Like, not that I didn't have friends, but needing somebody that was going to shoot me straight, needing somebody that wasn't just kind of like a surface level, hey, how you doing? Hey, Alabama, one, or hey, what'd you think about this, or as far as like some sports kind of context, or what do you think about different things going on. Really needing somebody to get to a place where it was a hard conversation to be had. So like when I say that, and I remember just Lee telling me, she's like, Chase, just begin praying for that, and just like ask God and say like, God, give me that friend. And I really, as I'm thinking about this even now off the cuff, as we think about this podcast, I really can see and go back to that conversation with Lee and see how kind of God opened those doors between you and I to kind of begin that relationship, that genuine, just authentic opportunity to ask hard questions and to know. I think one of the things about asking hard questions and being honest is knowing that the other person is, no matter what your answer is going to be, is going to there's nothing that's going to change about how they view you.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to still see you as you. Now, they might understand some things that are, maybe not as good, or some struggles and some different things, but it's still, they see you as you, and they're like, okay, how do I help you get to who God is really wanting you to be, or the ultimate version of yourself, of your identity in Christ, and that kind of thing. So I'd say just an encouragement to think about for guys today. If you don't have this relationship, I just remember Lee and Lee's, and Lee, Ryan, but like such a discerning heart, and such a, like, if she says something, like, you better be listening and paying attention, mm-hmm. because she says it from a heart that's open to the Lord, and a heart that really has great discerning, thoughts from what God would want and what God would say. And so I just remember Lee saying that's about just praying for that and asking the Lord for a relationship like that.
Well, and you also hit on something when you said talking about God. I mean, you said it right. We talk about sports. Guys tend to talk about everything but God. It's kind of like it's hard for us to do it, I guess, because it shows our feelings. Yeah. And a lot of times we don't want to show our feelings. So, I mean, if we can keep that, it's important to have conversations about other things as well, because you're going through struggles in life. But if you can keep it God-centered, then He'll bless that. And that's kind of the main goal.
All right, so do we want to go off the cuff?
Yeah, let's do it.
You want to ask a question?
I mean, and were these, did you prepare questions?
I got some stuff in my head.
Okay. Well, see, mine,
I know you're more prepared.
No, my kids went to bed last night and Emily had to work. So I was like, well, I can just look up.
But you always have great questions.
Yeah. Well, no, sometimes. But I Googled like good questions to ask, and I was like picking my favorite. So
All right, go for it.
All right. So
question one on.
Well, this is the
cuff.
most basic question that anyone has ever asked, but
right.
I do want to know. I'm curious. If you could have dinner with one person, who would it be?
Oh wow! If I could have dinner with one person, dead or alive, or
well, I was thinking about that, because if we said dead, you're going to say Jesus. So let's just say, I mean, we both would love to have. That's the first person. Let's just go ahead and put that on the table.
Right.
Let's exclude Jesus.
Okay. So are we still
Let's
going?
Let's just do alive.
Alive. All right. So one person, a live person right now, I could have dinner with. Oh. All right. So the off the cuff answer right now is Nick Saban.
Okay. Well, why is that?
Nick Saban, just Alabama football fan, Ryan. You know that.
Yes.
Can be a little too much of an Alabama football fan.
You're actually not bad.
Not terrible.
You're a competitive person, and that comes out in it. But from an Auburn fan and an Auburn graduate, we have never had any issues with being Alabama-Auburn.
Yeah, you and I can actually watch.
Yeah, you're the only person that's probably an Alabama. Well, there's others, but that I can watch an Alabama game with.
Right. Or you've watched an Alabama game with me, and I've watched an Auburn game with you, and there's fine. I don't know that we've ever watched the Iron Bowl together.
Well, I'm usually out of town, so.
Yeah. So, but anyways, Nick Saban, obviously is an Alabama fan, big just fan of Nick Saban, his leadership, what he's done for our football program, and just the leadership that he brings. And so probably just would want to sit and ask some questions about leadership, and ask how he got to where he is, what was some major things that happened in his life, and how does he keep doing what he's doing. I mean, I think the consistency of his coaching ability is probably one of the most influential things to me to think about. So how do you stay consistent, that kind of thing. So Nick Saban.
I mean, you have to be crazy to be in that job. And for them, a lot of them, I'll just say SEC coaches, to do it pretty gracefully. I mean, there's been some failures out there.
Right.
And nobody's perfect. But, I mean, for them to do what they have to do, all the wheels have to be going in the same place, and everyone's got to be aligned. I mean, yeah, that's a good answer.
I mean, that's probably not the most, like,
That's okay.
godly answer, you know. It's off the cuff, right?
It's definitely not godly if it's Nick Saban, but, you know.
Oh, me. Let me think of...
We just lost our other listener.
Yeah, let me think about our... on a Christian, you know, context of somebody, I would probably say if I could have dinner with somebody that's alive, would probably be... I would be very intrigued to spend some time with... Louis Giglio, probably be very intrigued to spend some time with. Let's see.
Are you not going to say who I'm thinking you're? I mean, I had this in my head. You were going to say.
Who's
but
that?
Maybe you're past that phase.
Who's that?
Chris Tomlin.
Chris Tomlin. Yeah, I'm a little past Chris Tomlin.
You met him and you're done.
Yeah, I met Chris Tomlin. I was done.
Don't meet your heroes, folks.
I do like his new album, though. Have you listened to it?
I didn't know he had a new album.
He has a new album, and you would like this, Ron. I think you would, because his new album is called Chris Tomlin and Friends, and it has he has Lady A on there. He has Thomas Rhett, like some country artist, and it Florida Georgia Line. Like they did this kind of collaborative thing together, and it's actually
pretty good.
It actually, to me, it's not like Chris Tomlin's albums. A lot of times they all sound the same, but this one's like really different, and it's really interesting. So
it was on a podcast I listened to about a month ago called Dadville, and it was very good conversation. So
check out this new album, Chris Tomlin and Friends. And yes, I did meet him. That's a pretty funny story. Do you remember what Lee said about that?
No, I didn't know Lee said anything. I just know you met him, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Okay, so we're on our honeymoon in Santa Rosa Beach, 30A, you know, down there, and we're in the Donut Hole restaurant right there off of 30A and 98, and sitting there eating, and Lee's back is to like the door, and Chris Tomlin walks in, and I'm like, I mean, I go into total shock mode, like, oh my goodness, it's Chris Tomlin, and Lee's like, what? And I was like, I think Chris Tomlin just walked in. And so, like, she turned around. She's like, yeah, I think that's him. He's, like, set up at, like, the little donut bar thing. And I was like, you know, she's like, well, you go talk to him. And I was like, well, no, let's just – I'm not somebody that's going to, like, go out of my way to, like, make a fool out of myself. And so, anyways, on the way out, she's like, well, just walk by. So I walked by and I tapped him on the shoulder. And I was like, hey, dude, I said like Mr. Chris Tomlin like 8 times. I was like, Mr. Chris Tomlin, and he was like, you know, he's like, chill, bro, you know. And I said thank you for your ministry like 8 times and stuff like that. And then Lee said like she was like, so we're so excited to meet you. Thank you for this. This is the most excited. We're on our honeymoon. This is the most excited he's been all week. And I was
off the cuff right there.
Off the cuff. I was like, well, thanks, babe. Like,
well, seriously though, when you meet someone, especially your hero, but even someone famous, there's just something that just this rush you get.
Yeah.
That like I don't know why. I mean, they're just people.
Right.
I ran into Angela Kinsey who plays what does she plays Angela from The Office. Does anyone here watch Office?
I'm not an Office fan.
But I mean, she's just a minor character. She's funny. But I mean, I could not get myself to go up and talk to her because, you know, she's from one of the greatest shows, I think, in our generation. So, I mean, yeah, there's this just, you know, and you start, Mr. Tomlin, you don't realize what you're doing. And you talk and you're like, ugh.
But it just killed me when Lee said that. I was like, babe, that's not what you say on the honeymoon. All right. So, anyways, but yeah, so not Chris Tomlin. I'd say Louis Giglio. I was trying to think of somebody, but that's about it. I just think Louis has seen God move in a lot of amazing ways through the Passion Movement, obviously in my context of being around that a lot, be somebody neat to listen to. Because when you think about, I think when I think about meeting with somebody and like thinking through who I'd want to meet with, it's someone that's experienced just some sort of, I guess, amazing feat or a feature of like, whether that's success, you know, and I don't know if that's good or bad. That goes through my head, but success on football, on the football field, but also when you think of Louis, I mean, to an extent, that's success in the church world. And but I mean, deep down, obviously, meeting with Louis, you know, just being able to and this is kind of weird too, but I DM'd him one time on Instagram, and obviously he didn't say anything back. But like, just threw it out there. But I just asked him like what would you attribute what would you say has led to you experiencing God the way that you've experienced God? Because like really that is a heart of mine. Like I would say that I want to see God move, and I want to experience a revival. I want to see people's lives being changed for eternity in a lot of ways like he has. So I asked him, I remember I DM'd that question.
They don't check their DMs, those people. They get too many.
That's all right, yeah. But
also the way he handles stuff with grace. I mean, with having a platform, it's scary in these days because everyone gets offended by things you say, and he seems to own up to any mistake he might have without pride and says, I'm sorry, this might have happened, and I apologize, and how he does that, because with the stage as big as he's on, at the platform as big as he has, that's something I would like to know from him. So that's a good answer.
All right, Ryan, off the cuff question for you. You ready?
No.
Time, money, not an issue, okay? Mm-hmm. Time or money, not an issue. You could do anything, drop of the hat right now. What would you do?
Man, I'm so boring. Time, money, not an issue.
Go somewhere, do something, just any of that.
I mean, I'm not a big traveler, so I would not go anywhere right now, especially I would not want to be on a plane with COVID right now.
Let's take COVID out too.
Okay, so we can go anywhere.
Yeah.
This sounds so I'm like an old man. But give me an island.
Okay.
And a book.
Yeah.
And a good Wi-Fi connection, because I want to stay connected. But give me a book and I will go. And just the thought of being able to read a book right now in our busy life seems just so wonderful to me. We had a vacation last week. We went to Amelia Island, and the only thing I wanted to do was just sit down and read and finish the book that I had. And my wife, God love her, she is misadventure. She rented us bikes. She rented us a boat ride. She did a bus tour of Amelia Island. Like, what's there to know about Amelia Island? But hey, we know it.
I heard y'all almost killed yourself on this bike ride.
I mean, she's like, there's this, the map, it looks so easy. So we start going, and we got one of those bikes that had connections on it. So Charlotte, my 5-year-old daughter, could be behind me so she wouldn't run out in traffic and get hit. So I'm on that. She's crying because she's complaining because she don't want to be doing that either. And so I'm just sitting there like going. And Emily wants to go to this new neighborhood on Crane Island it's a Southern Living neighborhood. So we set out. It's like 10 miles down the road. And we get there, we get into the gate, and I'm like, I'm done. Like, I'm not even going any further. I'm done. Let's go back, because we still got to go 10 miles back. So she's wanting to do all these things, and, I just want to read. Like, just give me a book to read. So I don't know if that's just me being a lazy person, me being, wanting always to chill, but give me a book and an island so no one can, bother me, and time, and away from work and away from phones, and that sounds like a dream.
I could see you, Ron, like on an island. You ever seen those videos or pictures of those little huts sitting not in the sand, because I know you're not a big sand person.
Sand. Mm-hmm.
So but sitting on top of some shallow water, real blue water, having some AC probably. I could see you want the AC there and your Wi-Fi connection, your book,
or one of those those villas at Polynesian Resort.
Okay,
that's kind of out,
right?
Just kind of like those.
Yeah. I could see you living that up.
But that's money, man. But we don't got
speaking of vacations for just a second.
Yeah.
All right. As dads, as men, would you incredibly agree with this statement that our expectation of a vacation is completely different than the expectation of our wives?
Amen, brother.
And so, how have you figured that out? Because I know, I think of I'm the same kind of way. You're talking about, I just want to read a book, but, Emily wants to ride. How do you navigate that?
Well, I mean, it's kind of the whole point of marriage is you have to you have to give selflessly to whoever you're in the partnership with, or whoever you're going on vacation with. So that a lot of times looks like something that you don't want to do. Actually, it's 90%, especially with kids, because when you have your wife, you have to do what she wants to do, and then you throw the kids in there. You have to kind of have something that they want to do. So you really do have to you have to take yourself and let it go, right? Because that's one thing that I've been married 12 years, so it's something that I'm still learning to work on, not to be selfish.
Yeah.
And it's something that all of us probably have to work on daily, which Jesus says, die to yourself. I mean, these are the reasons. I mean, vacation is something that should be about myself. I mean, I give a lot in my personal life.
Right.
I work a lot. I do a lot of things in my personal life as well. So when I want to go on vacation, I can become selfish.
Right.
And if you do that, then you can tick some people off. And let's just say if mama's not happy, then the vacation is not fun. And that's just a choice you have to make.
I would say, like, it's taken probably in the last year, probably our last 2 or 3 vacations for me to realize, like, really to have no expectations and, like, to be okay with that. Because a lot of times, like, I come on, like, you talked about reading a book, or you're talking about, like, doing some outdoorsy kind of, guy things even. Like, those are things that I enjoy doing, and I go somewhere to be able to do some of those things. But it's like you realize pretty quickly that you don't have that time, and it's really hard to be able to realistically make that happen. And so I would say I've learned that last couple of years, just kind of show up with no expectations, kind of go with the flow, be okay with it, and, especially, try to enjoy the time instead of be stressed out, because that's a big deal to me, is getting stressed. And I know you've seen the stress level, Ryan.
Yeah, you kind of just, Chase kind of does this thing where he goes into his mind. Y'all know it. Y'all work with him. And you can just tell, like, you're having a conversation with him. He's looking out. He's thinking about the next event he's supposed to be doing. And you're like, Chase, yo, over here. So, yeah, we know stressful Chase. I try everything I can. I pray for that every morning. I'm like, Lord, be with Chase today. Help his stress level. Because we don't like a stressful Chase.
Well, it's funny because everybody knows a stressful Chase, and they know what that looks like. The students here at the church, they pretty funny when they talk about the way that I breathe, and I get real, like, breathe out of my nose, and they can tell in that moment that I'm stressed. I think everybody's seen that. Broxton's seen that. Auburn, seen Stressful Chase? Listen long enough. Wow. All right. Some love in the studio today for sure. We all got to work on things, guys. All got to work on things. So, Ryan, we are maybe got a second for, you want to go one more question?
Yeah, come on. Shoot it. You want me to do it?
Yeah. Why don't you go for it? It's your turn.
Let me see here. I'll save some of these for next week. What is something that you're tired of hearing about?
Wow. Tired of hearing about. Okay, so here's the deal.
Is this political, personal, work? Kind of set the stage here.
Set the stage. Okay, so I'm not politics, okay?
Ugh.
I'm not a big politics person at all, like at all. Broxton is. Auburn's kind of in between, I would say, and but like I'm like nowhere near on the spectrum, and so I don't do good in any type of conversation when it comes to politics, and I really don't do good either when there's moments where it's kind of like you can tell that's what people want to talk about, because I just don't know enough about it, and I just kind of rather not worry with it and not like deal with it. And this, to an extent, I feel as if I say this, and I know this isn't true. It's like there's not a whole lot that I can do about it. And so, like, why get worked up and stressed in my stress level?
You're already stressed enough.
I'm already stressed enough. Like, why get worked up about this? But I also understand, I know there's a side of the magnitude that politics plays, obviously, within our country, and how that will affect me or will affect my family. And so I would say when it comes to right now with everything going on, I would say the political side of things, and really that goes to the spectrum of how Trump's doing this or not doing this, or how he handled this or how he's not handling that, or the upcoming election and everything that kind of goes with all of that. I would say I'm tired of politics.
No, that's a good answer. I work in politics, so I'm kind of the same way you are. It just seems like such a big thing that one voice is not enough. Of course, we know your voice is enough, but in the scheme of things, especially when you start going on those social medias and you start hearing about it, and it can get overwhelming. So if you're not, I would say, how do you handle that? do you block people, or?
When it comes to social media context, I don't follow a whole lot of political anything. I could probably.
But it'll seep in.
And so I just don't really look at it. I don't read a whole lot. Don't look at the news. I don't really watch the news at all, which is.
Do you know who is running against Trump?
Yes, I think so. Biden, right?
Yes, and do you know that he just
yesterday?
Yes.
Or Tuesday.
Tuesday, he selected who? Do you know who?
Is it Camilla Harris?
There you go.
So I only know that because of Broxton, our producer, because I was in the office doing another podcast with him and Ray when I think they announced her, right?
Yeah, Tuesday.
But I don't know anything about her.
Yeah.
Really. So
California.
I did see an interesting post today on social media about her, but
yeah, you're going to see a lot of those.
Yeah.
Both sides of the aisle.
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting thing, but now it's probably not the context to talk about.
No, that's a good point. I mean, I think almost everyone who would hear this wants to agree with that politics this year. I mean, almost feel like we're leading up to like this big boom that I'm obviously been praying about every day. I'm like, Lord, whoever you choose to be in leadership, let it be your will, and let us have peace about it, and your hand be on our country. And that's all we really can do as Christians, is besides vote. And that's all. God's kind of teaching me that, because I get kind of paralyzed with fear about the future. I can do that. So he has kind of shown me in this COVID environment that he has my future, that no matter what happens, I can find joy in any situation if I'm in him. And so looking towards the election, I kind of started, this is going to be bad no matter who gets elected, in my opinion, from one way or the other, because, I mean, these people are going to be happy, these people are going to be happy, and we see what's going on around our country. So I just learned to give that to God and say, hey, God, you have to take this and let me find joy in it. Don't let me just skip out on it and not put my head in the sand, but let me find joy in what you're doing in our country and see it. So. Yeah,
that's probably a route that I need to look into.
Well, it took a while for me to get there. Yeah. And plus I have to look through for my job. I have to do a lot of stuff political wise so I kind of know what's going on. So I can't put my head in the sand.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Speak to just really quickly, time's sake wise, but when you say your job, share just for a second. What does that mean?
I am the senior sales specialist for Comcast Effective TV. So I used to just be Florida. So anyone, if you were a mayor, if you were a governor, or if you're a president coming in and trying to buy Florida, you would go through me and my teammates to kind of get onto Fox News, CNN, all cable. And now we have a digital aspect of that as well. Then 2 years ago, I expanded to the Southeast, and then last year I expanded to the West Coast, and then this year, March 20th, right when COVID and the world was falling apart, they said, congratulations, you get the whole country. So in a political year. So my job is to make sure everyone's following the rules, to make sure we have a lot of guidelines, make sure we're not, putting one candidate in front of another, to make sure that the paperwork's filled out correctly. So that's kind of my job, is just to kind of oversee to make sure that the people who are selling to these political candidates, from Trump and Biden all the way down to your dog catchers, that they're following the rules and doing all that stuff. So it's very boring, but it is an income. So
it's an income. You get to work from home.
I love that.
Yeah. Have to be on your phone all the time, though.
I've been checking right now.
Yeah.
We got some big Biden orders that came in, so
that's a good thing.
Yeah,
take those
money.
Big orders.
Trump already placed. So,
all right. So let's ask one more. I got one off the cuff question for you, and then we'll be done for this first episode of this podcast, which has been fun.
It has been
really fun. All right, we're in a COVID-19 context still. What would you say you miss the most about what was normal life?
To me, it's just the stability. I like looking forward to something. And like just right now, it's August. What is today? The 13th? I don't know. August 13th. What are we thinking about in the South? We're always thinking, look forward to college football, getting ready for it to start. And we don't even know if it's going to happen. And also, like, my kids went back to school this week, and it has been so nice to have them, to have a structure, and for me to actually get work done. And all that stuff, but we have no idea if, someone's going to have an aunt who got COVID that talked to my daughter, and then now we're going to have them home for 2 weeks.
Right.
So there's just no stability. And I'm a person who loves to have things set out for them future-wise, to know what to look forward to, what to plan for. And that's just not been something that in this COVID environment that I can do. Besides that, though, there's been so many more blessings that have happened because of it. I mean, we had this time of family that we wouldn't have had before. Yeah. And I think everyone is seeing that. We've had this time to say, Chase, you know me, I'm a huge March Madness basketball fan. Yeah. Love college basketball. And so when that was cut short and they canceled it, it was like canceling Christmas for me. And so, but guess what happened? I survived. I learned how to live without something that I thought I couldn't live without. So even I'll say it now, even if college football does get canceled, I hope not. We're knocking on wood. There's no wood in here, but hope it doesn't happen. But if it does, God will provide a way for us to carry on, and probably for the better. Yeah. Sometimes I hate to say that.
I know. I've told Lee, I said, are you inwardly really hoping that college football doesn't happen? Just because of the level that it brings to our house sometimes. When
it's so true.
Kids are trying to go to bed, and I'm sitting here thinking, man, the game's on. I don't have time to bathe a kid.
And you're better at that than me. You actually do it.
Well, not in the attitude that I need to do it. So
let me have one more rant real quick about this, because I don't, also the politicalness of it. Like, I had a good friend, maybe someone who's sitting in this room, who gave me a neck gaiter to wear. And so I've been enjoying my neck gaiter. Yeah, I kind of look like a beat poet when you kind of wear it, like a turtleneck, but I like it. It's okay. And I'm like, this is fine. I can do this thing. But then did you hear the news that came out that's going on, circling around? Neck gaiters are worse than actually not having a mask.
Oh, really?
So when you put them on, as you have yours on, sorry. Hate to burst that bubble. But when you put them on, they're saying it makes all the particles from your mouth go even smaller and then spread rapidly. So
wow. So as we thought all summer we were being safe for student ministry activities by giving them gaiters and buffs so they look cooler.
Ignorance is bliss. You had to pass then. But now all this is going, and that's what I hate though. It's like you can't even wear a neck gaiter.
Well, don't tell Lee that, okay?
No one's gonna know. But that's a problem. You can't even. I even feel like that. Like now, if I have my neck gaiter on, are people gonna look at me like? And so that's something that I can't stand. That's Ryan's rant for today.
Ryan's rant for the day. Maybe that needs to be a specific episode.
We can plug those in every week.
Podcast on Off the Kuff. Ryan's rant.
Yeah, so I don't have mine on today, but might as well not have one.
Well, Ryan, this has been fun. First podcast.
First one.
Off the Kuff.
We did it.
We're gonna do one a week. We're gonna do.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's just. We just got to figure out timing.
Yeah. So we'll do one a week and figure that out, our schedules, and see how we make this work. And we always want people they have to subscribe, right? What do they do to our podcast?
Subscribe. Find us on all platforms that you can. I don't even know where that is.
Yeah, social media platforms. I heard that, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Our marketing strategist has to get to work on that.
In marketing strategist, we also need a theme song, like a little ditty. So if you could do we have any?
We have access to some music.
All right, off the cuff. So
off the cuff music. So
a little ditty. We need a little a goodbye phrase that we'd say.
Yeah.
All this stuff we'll have to think about.
That's right. We'll figure it all out. But this has been a fun starter episode, Off the Kuff podcast. Ryan James, Chase Falk. It's been good. See ya.
See ya.